everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. I just wanted to thank you all for attending the third DePaul Activities Board Skill Builder Series event. Dad was fortunate enough to be able to partner with Meet Me at the Mission today to help make this event possible. So I just wanted to thank Meet Me at the Mission. And we just wanted to have this event in order to create a positive experience for students and for the DePaul community as a whole as well. So thanks for joining us today. I just wanted to turn it over to Meet Me at the Mission now. Or actually, sorry, I want to start off by doing a quick activity. So I just wanted to ask, just like what has everyone kind of been doing to stay relaxed during these times? So I could kind of start, I guess. So like me personally, I just like to run and ride my bike, and just being outside in nature kind of helps me to get my mind off school for a little bit and just kind of stay relaxed in that way, being outside. And even like we have a hummingbird feeder by our house, so just watching the hummingbirds come by is something that I enjoy as well. But yeah, if anyone else would like to share, if not, that's okay too. Just like what you've been doing to stay relaxed or stay active during this time.
I can share. Hi everyone, my name is Delaney. I'm here with Meet Me at the Mission. And some things that I've been doing are taking my dog, there's only one of her, on lots of walks around the neighborhood. And I really like spending my time painting. So I've been doing a lot of painting, which we'll actually talk a little bit about later on in our presentation, just kind of as a way to just sit and be without any electronics and work through anything that is going on up here or in here. It's been a really good activity for me to do in my free time.
So for me, it's just I don't really see my family a lot because like they live in Florida and I go to school in Chicago, obviously. So it's just nice spending more time with my family than I usually do, more than like 3 months out of the year. So that's what I've been really doing to relax.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of walks. Just could take a break from looking at a screen for a while. So.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, now we could turn it over to Meet Me at the Mission, and they're gonna guide us through a presentation for us.
Well, hello, good people. It's so good to be with you this afternoon. My name is Joyanna, and I serve within the Division of Mission and Ministry and have the great honor of supporting the Meet Me at the Mission initiative, which is an initiative that's all about connecting the wisdom from our Vincentian heritage and legacy. So the lives of Vincent de Paul and Louise de Marillac and Frederick Ozanam and Rosalie Rondeau, all these figures, to our current reality and what's happening today. So I'm joined by Delaney, who is one of our experts and seasoned leaders within Meet Me at the Mission. And today we really want to be sharing a little bit about how the wisdom from our Vincentian tradition connects to this time of living within COVID-19. So I'm going to share a slide here. Dun, dun, dun. So when Josh started, he talked about how this is kind of an opportunity for you as a community to be doing some skill building, right? And to be really thinking about and reflecting on all right, what do I need to build in my muscles, in my skills, in my toolbox as leaders, especially to move forward in this time of COVID-19, which is a time that's very different than any of us have ever lived before. And so today we'll be sharing some tools for your toolbox, especially in the context of Vincentian holistic care, and really looking at how the wisdom from our Vincentian tradition connects to the here and now today, and how some tools that might be helpful, very similar to the opening reflection that Josh did of how can we stay relaxed, how can we stay whole, how can we stay connected, which are all really important pieces to being Vincentian leaders in our world. So we know it's not a normal time. I don't know if anyone's looked at the weather lately. But our dear Lori Lightfoot here in Chicago has told us to stay home. And your dear SGA president, have you seen how she has been handling the coronavirus, sometimes single-handedly, I think, with all the meetings she's going to be really that voice for the student body and for all of you. So we start by sharing these memes in the intent that keeping our sense of humor during this time that is a really difficult time is a really important way to also stay healthy, right? And to keep perspective of like, okay, yes, this is something we've never lived before, and humor is one way that is going to keep us moving forward. I've heard of a lot of students sharing memes all the time of different things. I know my friends as well. I'll get these, and it'll be this break in the middle of the day where it just is like, ah, yes. So if you have a favorite meme and you want to share it in the chat of the Zoom, please, throughout the presentation, feel free to do that so that we can all enjoy it as well, because I know there's a lot more than just these two that we have there. Wanting to look at this crisis through the lens of the time of Vincent. So if we were to get in our time machines right now and go back 400 years to the time of Vincent de Paul and Louise de Marillac in 17th century France, we would discover that they actually lived through similar types of pandemics, plagues, times of disease, times of hunger and war and extreme poverty. And we're daily dealing with this impact of people being sick and people dying because of the plague. Along with, they did not have the modern medicine that we have today. So it was a similar context of struggling as a community with what was happening with different diseases, and a similar context too of not always knowing what was going to be happen or how to heal the disease that is at hand. And I think that's part of the uncertainty and unknown we're experiencing right now with the coronavirus too, is the sense of unknown, which it's hard to be in that place of uncertainty and unknowing. It's a scary place. And so realizing that Vincent and all of his communities were confronted with these similar challenges, it's important to recognize that it was that context of a challenge that actually shaped Vincent to be the leader that he turned out to be. And I'm convinced that this time is shaping each of you as DePaul students and strengthening your leadership skills, strengthening who you are as people as we move through and get through this together. You'll see here this little graphic about Vincentian holistic care. And when we reflect upon how the heck did Vincent and Louise do this, right? Day in, day out, confronting these plagues and diseases and poverty, it really, when we look at their lives and their story, we see that they rooted themselves in taking care of themselves and taking care of others, a theme that you all have heard about. That's our Take Care DePaul, right? So today we're going to be looking a little bit at these different aspects of holistic care, our body, our mind, our relationships, and spirit. So we'll be coming back to that graphic. So start to think about how you've been caring for yourself during this time. I know for myself that building immunity has become one of the most important things in our life right now, right? With some of you may remember in your Discover Chicago classes taking a values challenge. Does anyone remember that? Raise your hands, where you had to like narrow it down to like 3 values, right? Yeah. And it was like hard to do. How am I going to choose between all these values? Well, I know for myself that if I had to do that right now, it would be very clear that health is the #1 value for all of us, right? And a few weeks ago, months ago now, not even weeks, few months ago, that wasn't necessarily at the top of my list. And so knowing that when we think about the Vincentian way, it starts by rooting ourselves in our values. And so if health is the value that we're striving for everyone, our personal health, the well-being of our family, our close friends, and then the broader community, our job right now as citizens of the world is to build our immunity, right? To do everything we can do to take care of ourselves. So laughter, we already named, is an important way to do that. Some exercise, we might get you doing jumping jacks before the end of this, this live call. Drinking water, if you all do not have water right now, whether you are on Facebook Live or here in the Zoom, stand up and go get your water. You got to stay hydrated. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Joss. Very good. Everyone take a sip. All right, so staying hydrated is key to building immunity. along with these other pieces, which we're going to be exploring with you during this presentation. So this idea of having spiritual practices or meditation, journaling and creative expressions, and then connecting to community, which you all being here with us today is an example of how we are reaching out and connecting together as a Vincentian community. So knowing that this is our task at hand for all of us, we would like to invite you into experimenting with an opening meditation. So the Vincentian way is not just to read about something or to hear about something, it's to actually do it and experience it. And so I'm going to pass the baton to Delaney, who will lead us in a meditation so that you can experiment with this particular way of building your immunity.
Creating spaces of solitude and quiet is key to being sustained in the work for justice and systemic change for the long haul. Vincent and Louise were contemplatives in action. Just as you hone your skills as a mentor, you also need to take time to cultivate your inner life. We're going to do a little experiment to tune in, ground yourself, and recenter. We're going to do what's called a counting meditation. To begin the counting meditation, find a comfortable position, as comfortable as you can get in your chair right now. Take a moment to notice how your body feels. If you feel comfortable, let your eyes softly close and begin to check in with your body. Observe without trying to change anything. Notice any areas of tension and notice which parts of your body feel relaxed. Sit quietly and turn your attention to your breathing. Breathe slowly, deeply, in and out. In, out. As you continue to breathe, count each breath out. In, 1. In, 2. In, 3. Keep counting on your own now. Focusing all your attention on your breathing and on the numbers. As your attention drifts, focus again on your breathing. If you lose count, simply start again at 1. Keep focusing on your breathing and continue counting each exhalation. I invite you to stop counting and simply relax for a few moments. Just be. Enjoy the feeling of relaxation. Notice how you are feeling now, physically and mentally, and notice how it feels to be more relaxed. When you are ready to conclude your counting meditation session, take a few moments to reawaken your mind and body. Turn your attention to your surroundings. Notice the sights and sounds around you as you become more aware and alert. Move your arms and legs, feeling your body reawaken. Stretch if you feel so called to. Feel your body waking up. I invite you to return to this space and really reflect on how you're feeling now. How do you feel? Do you notice anything different than a few minutes ago? Anyone?
So yeah, I feel a lot more like calm and relaxed. My mind is just kind of like not really thinking about anything, not like daydreaming or anything. It's kind of just in a relaxed state right now. And like my body as well. I feel that like just kind of just like at peace.
Yeah, I'm definitely not as tense as I was before coming onto this call. Now I feel more like relaxed and I feel zenned out.
Thank you all for sharing, and thank you all for taking that time to really pause and reflect with us. This counting meditation can manifest in various different ways, whether it's counting your breathing or counting how many green objects you see around yourself. It can be a really good way to reroute yourself and really ground yourself in the space and the moment that you're in, even when you might not be able to take the full time to just sit, close your eyes, really relax that body and focus on your breathing. It's something that you can do in various different spaces as well.
So this idea of cultivating your interior life, whether that's through meditation, like we just experienced, or through other ways, is really essential to the Vincentian way, as Delaney said, of staying in this for the long haul, right? How are we integrating into our daily life these moments to reconnect and cultivate that inside, right? That gut of guts, that heart of hearts, that place where you feel centered and grounded, where you feel connected and alive. And there's lots of different ways to cultivate an inner life. And you don't have to come from any particular religious background or spirituality. I think more and more we're seeing in our society, when you do research on meditation, there's like profound research that shows you the health impacts of you taking these literal, that was like 3 minutes to calm your brain, to calm your mind, to calm your body and spirit. It impacts all other aspects of your life. So we're curious to hear from you all if there's any other ways that you have been finding, especially during this unprecedented time of COVID-19, that you've been cultivating your inner life or finding those moments of peace and connection deep within.
I guess for me, we have like a little workout area in my basement. So I've kind of just been working out when I have the time. That just kind of allowed me to get my mind off of school for a little bit, and just kind of relax my mind in that way. Even though it may not relax my body, it relaxes my mind in that way. So
That's great. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. And for me, every night my mom and I have been going on a walk around our neighborhood, and it's just like we both work. She works from home, I work from home every day, so we don't really see each other until that time. So that's our time to talk and reflect on our days and all of that. And then just like personally for myself, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and just seeing like what else I can do, and eventually this ends, and what I can do to better myself.
Isn't that amazing how you can be in the same space, like same physical house all day, but not connect with each other until that walk?
Crazy.
That's
we maybe talk to each other like an hour a day maybe, and then it's better. Like
yeah. Any other ways folks are cultivating their inner life during this time? So
Something that I've been doing
You're good.
is I've been creating postcards. So I mentioned that I like to paint. So I've been painting postcards and writing them and sending them to loved ones and friends. And I feel like for me, so much of where I feel connected, and where that inner life of me is rooted in like meaningful relationships and connections. And those have been strained a bit during these times. And there's something guttural about writing out a letter to someone and sending that out and having them receive that. That's different than Zooming them or calling them or sending them texts. So that's been something that's been really helpful for me.
That's awesome. Again, cultivating these different rituals and routines is an important way for us to move through this in a positive way. Another idea for cultivating the inner life is this idea of journaling. Do we have any journalers in the room? Okay, and Kit, yeah, not Brianna. She's like, no, thank you, Delaney. So that picture on the previous slide was actually my journal space. I'll be honest, when we started this, every Sunday at night, I would create my space to journal. And I did that for a month, thinking that we were only gonna be here for a month. So now I've gotten off of my routine a little bit, but I did start out strong with the journaling. I used to be a journaler when I was in college. Like my friends would know, Joanna would not go anywhere without her journal, right? Like I would, it's kind of a dork. But that was like my way of how I processed the world and my experiences and how I made meaning. And this is a time that it's really hard to make meaning out of what's happening sometimes. And so journaling is sometimes a way. Even there's lots of different ways to journal. There's bullet journals, there's gratitude journals, there's responding to different journal prompts, and there's many different writers who have been giving different prompts throughout this whole pandemic. If you're interested in experimenting with journaling, if you follow our Meet Me at the Mission Instagram or Facebook page, we actually have a weekly prompt where you get to journal with Vinny. So we'll have a prompt for you, and sometimes it's some little exercises challenges on Instagram too. So that might be a way, Brianna, to kind of just dip into the idea of journaling, just to experiment with it and try it out.
So one thing that is really important in the Vincentian tradition is really checking in on people and how they're actually doing. This is a quote from a letter that Louise wrote to Vincent de Paul, and in it she says, "I would truly like to know how you really are." A lot of times in our daily conversations, it's, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. And lots of times that's just our initial reaction, and it isn't necessarily how we're actually doing.
So with that, we want to check in with all of you. So in the chat, if you can just type in one word of honestly, how are you doing at this moment in time? And then Delaney, if you could read those aloud for us once they're entered in.
All right, so this is how this group is feeling in this moment. Super stressed, anxious about what our future looks like, unsure, and exhausted.
Mm-hmm. And as we've been having these conversations with students, what you all have shared, and then some of these other words that you see on the screen now of feeling afraid or stuck, confused, disorientated, bored, overwhelmed, is a big part of all of our experience right now. And what's really critical and important is that we name these feelings, right? That we are honest with ourselves and with those who we're surrounded by, of saying, right now, I'm feeling really sad and I don't know why, but that's how I'm feeling. Or I'm feeling way stressed. So what do I need to do to not feel so stressed? And all right, that meditation, I feel a little more relaxed. Now I can move forward in a different way. But starting by naming how hard this is and what those feelings are is really, really important. So we want to be conscious of our time. There's lots of tools in the toolbox that we could share with you, but we want to share with you just two more little pieces, and then we'll move into some question answer time, if that sounds okay to everyone. So the one idea is recognizing that this time we're experiencing is actually a time of community-wide grieving, which it might sound a little funny to say that or to view it as this way, but we're really grieving life as we once knew it, our connections with people, our habits, our routines, our senses of security. Some of us may be grieving people who have actually died from the coronavirus. And so naming that loss, those losses we've experienced, is also an important part of taking care of ourselves. And if you know anything about the grief process, if anyone has taken a psychology class before, you may have heard the name of this woman, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who shares about the 5 stages of grief, which are all there. The important thing to know is that these 5 stages don't happen linearly. It's not, I go from feeling angry to accepting the situation. It happens at all different times, and you might return to a feeling at any different moments. And as I've reflected on this experience of COVID-19, I've found myself moving through these stages and returning to certain stages at different moments. And I know for me, this experience of depression and sadness, yesterday I went to my son's kindergarten, his school, to pick up like all of his papers and his gym shoes and umbrella, everything that had been left at school, to pick it up for the end of the year. And they had the backpacks all lined up in the same place that the kids are usually lined up when I pick them up from school. And I just found myself so sad of just wanting him to be with his pals, right? Wanting to actually pick up him and see him with all of his friends instead of just seeing them over a Zoom call, which is what remote learning looks like for all of us right now, right? So just honoring that sadness and recognizing I knew I needed to go and pick up that stuff just to help me bring closure to the way that things aren't right now. And that can be hard. There's wisdom, though, in how we can honor the losses and the grief that we're having. And this idea of communicating and bearing witness, like we're doing today in a small way, is one real way to move forward. Also, this idea of creating and expressing and writing that we talked about, meditating, we already experimented with. And then this idea of being open to joy. Sometimes I think it can be hard right now if you are having a great time or delighting in something, it can feel like, should I be happy? Yes, we want to be open to delight and joy in these moments of gratitude, even amidst this struggle. And that, when you look at Vincent and Louise and Elizabeth Seton, they all had lives full of incredible struggle and incredible joy that they opened themselves to. So the last invitation we have is an invitation that Delaney's going to share with you of another tool for your toolbox.
So something that a lot of people don't know, and a lot of the Meet Me at the Mission team didn't even really know until this quarter, when we really started to dive into different ways that we could reach the student body in unique ways, given the fact that we can't bring everyone all together. So a little known fact about our dear Louise is that she was a painter. The 3 images that you see on this slide are actually works of art that are attributed to her. And this is something that most people just don't know, and I think it's super cool. And tapping into your creativity and creating art through any medium, whether it's painting or doodling or just writing things and seeing what comes out, is a great way to ground yourself and work through emotions and express yourself. And each week we've started an Art with Louise campaign where we share simple prompts to guide you through a way of connection to yourself and your world via art. And it's something that I have found to be very healing and meditative. And it's something that I think is worth trying out. Maybe it's not your thing, maybe it is. Either way, it's a little fun, and it's kind of a way to rework those muscles that maybe haven't been worked since like the middle school art class or even elementary school. And now's a time where we have a little bit more time to dedicate to something that maybe we haven't done in a little while.
And I know, for living with a kindergartner, almost 6-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old, and trying to entertain them while also working full time, art has actually been a really great place for us to connect as a family. And I was in that boat of having not really done art for many, many years. And it's been really fun just to try. We've done pastels and watercolors and crayons, of course, and markers. And that's both been a relaxing place for me, but also a great place to connect with my kids and the people that I care about. So that sense, I think, of sharing art as well, and with those you love, is another way. And to know that you might not think you're creative, but everyone is creative in some way, and there's no right or wrong way to do art. So that's our final tool for your Vincentian toolbox. And again, as Delaney mentioned, if you want to experiment with any art prompts or journaling prompts, our Meet Me at the Mission Instagram place is a great place to find out about that. So we just want to leave you with a little quote from our dear Louise, and then we'll answer any questions that you have. So Delaney, if you want to read our final quote.
Yes, this is once again from one of Louise's letters, and it reads, "Courage then, my dear sisters. Let us serve with hearts filled with pure love of God, which enables us always to love the roses amidst the thorns."
When you read Vincent and Louise's letters, you find them constantly encouraging the people who were doing the mission around them. Over and over and over again, Louise is telling her sisters, have courage, have hope. You can do this. You've got this. And we want you to know that we see you and we are encouraging you as we all find our ways of taking care of our whole selves during this really difficult time. So we are open to and would love if folks have any questions or curiosities, or we have more tools if you want more tools.
I mean, I have a question.
Mhm.
What can you do to like keep onto that same schedule of like journaling or something like that? How can you keep that schedule going without, like how you said, how you began doing it, and then just like during these times, like everything's happening at once and it can get stressful, but like what can you do to like keep onto that?
Mhm. So I know for myself, and Delaney, I'd love to hear kind of from your perspective with the art too. So when we first started, I had in my head and heart said Sunday nights I'm going to dedicate to this time, knowing that Sunday's kind of that recharge, reset, get ready for the week. And I felt this internal struggle of like, it would come around to Sunday night and it would be like, oh, I want to go read my book, or, oh, my husband's watching this on Netflix. I want to go join him on Netflix. Like, I really want to, right? And I had to not force myself, but I had to remind myself of, I'm trying this discipline and I want to experiment with this. So I'm going to show up and I'll just do it for like 5 minutes. And then if I get into it, great. And if I don't, then I can move on to something else. But I think it's what Vincent and Louise, all of our spiritual leaders show us, is that it actually is a discipline, right? And so this idea of trying to say, I'm going to carve out this time, this space, and also being gentle on yourself of, if you don't show up one day, it's okay. I do this exercise program called Mama Strong, which is, it's a mama who's strong. And she shows up sometimes with her kids climbing all over her, sometimes with her dog throwing up on her yoga mat, like, but she shows up and she tells us other mamas who are showing up of like, if you're here for 3 minutes, that's awesome. And if you're not here today, try again tomorrow. And so I think it is that sense of just try again, along with listen to how you feel when you actually do it. And try to remind yourself of like, I know that's actually the best thing for me. Instead of eating that bowl of ice cream and watching that Netflix, it's going to be better to sit here with my candle and journal or do my Mama Strong. So that helps to remind me of like, I know I'm going to feel better if I do this. So I just got to do it. But that's so real, Brianna.
I had a question. So like how do like social distancing and like wellness and DePaul's mission, like how do those like intersect with each other, I guess, like because everything's virtual right now. Yeah.
So I think just to begin with, when we think about the Vincentian mission, it's responding to that question, what must be done, right? What must be done? What must I do? What must you do? What must we do to care for the community that's entrusted within us? And so when we think especially about social distancing right now, and what our job and our charges for all of us is to stay home, it's not just to keep ourselves safe, but it's to keep everyone else safe too. And that actually is the heart of the Vincentian mission of working for the common good, right? It's not just for you that you're staying home. You're staying home for the elderly who are in the nursing homes. You're staying home for the most vulnerable of our society. And that's what the Vincentian mission is about. So it feels a little awkward right now of I'm serving the mission by staying at home. That seems like what? But actually, that's absolutely bringing our mission to life in a powerful way. And the other piece, I think, is just to recognize and see how the DePaul community is finding creative ways to connect and to build community. This is a great example here today with DAB of you're finding spaces to still come together. And when we think again about the other kind of non-negotiable parts of our Vincentian mission, that idea of community is the way forward. So those would be two ways I would say of how we're still committed to bringing that mission to life, and that all of us are a part of doing that in powerful ways.
I think to add to that is this idea of innovating and really answering the signs of the times and taking note of what's working and what's not working so well, and reevaluating and continuing to try. Because at this point, maybe we're going to fail at some things. Maybe things aren't going to turn out the way that we intended, but we're also going to learn from that, and we're going to continue to get better and better. One thing that I keep thinking of is the fact that I have family that lives far away, and I could have been connecting with them via Zoom and playing these games all this time, but it took not being able to go visit for me to realize that. And I really think that is something that is our Vincentian mission playing out, because at the end of the day, that connection is just as important. And maybe Louise and Vinny were right across the street from one another, and they still wrote each other letters. They could have walked over there and just hung out, but they still wrote each other those letters. And I think that's an important thing that we can apply to what we're doing right now.
Does anyone else have any further questions? Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I wanted to thank Meet Me at the Mission again for partnering with us today, and everyone joining us on Facebook Live. So thanks again.
Absolutely. And again, we'll encourage you. We started this workshop with that slide about how are you taking care of your body, your mind, your relationships, and your spirit. So we'll send you forth with some Vincentian homework to try to find ways to do all of that in your life and to continue building community together. In doing so, bring our mission to life. So you've got this. We see you. We're so close. And know that if you ever want to learn anything more about Vinny or Louise or Meet Me at the Mission, Delaney and I are great resources, and following the Meet Me at the Mission Instagram page is the best place to keep up with any upcoming events and everything too.